Hi grades 4, so today is your last lesson on graphs. So you should be looking at exercise 40 and I am looking at page 101. So again, this is your exercise 40 and this sheet that just went home. So if you watched your math lesson on graphs on Monday, then you should move to Tuesday, and I'm following Tuesday's schedule, okay? So your textbook reference, that is just for you, for your help and for you to understand it better. So you should be looking at textbook page 73, and your workbook reference for today is page 101 and page 102. This is exercise 40. And this is our last lesson on graphs before we are going to move to, after that, we will move to angles. Okay, so our next lesson will be on angles. So let us look at our today's exercise, and I'm sure you are feeling much more confident now that you've done about 6 exercises on graphs, right? So let us look at the last one, the final one, and flip to, again, if you're not looking at, if you don't have your books, your workbooks, flip to page 101. I would like you to flip it to page 101 so that we can get started and finish this exercise, okay? So let's have a look. I'm gonna read the question and then you are going to follow along. So I'll let you know a few things that you should be mindful of as you're working on your exercise. So let's have a look. So it says, so I'm reading the question, please follow along. It says, 5 boys collected some stamps. Pablo collected 45 Singapore stamps and 20 US stamps. Justin collected 38 Singapore stamps and 15 US stamps. Damon collected 65 Singapore stamps and 52 US stamps. John collected 50 Singapore stamps and 60 US stamps. Jordan collected 22 Singapore stamps and 53 US stamps. Now your task is, it says, complete the following table to show the given data. So they've given you, this is your data, okay? This is what they're talking about when they say data. So they've given you this information, and just like in previous exercises, we've been looking at our data or our information in a table, and we have been putting that information in a chart or in a table or in a bar graph format, okay? So in this exercise, you have to read this information, the data that I just read to you, and you have to fill it out. Now they have, on this side, they've given you the names of all the people they've mentioned above, right? They've told you Pablo, Justin, Damon, John, and Jordan. They've told you, so in this column, you have to fill in how many Singapore stamps each of these people collected. So you are just going to write down their numbers. So let's go to Pablo. Pablo collected 45 Singapore stamps. So what are you going to do? You're going to write 45 right underneath Singapore, right? Because that's the number of stamps Pablo collected under the Singapore section. And how many did he collect for US? He collected 20 US stamps. So you are going to, underneath in the US column, you're going to write 20 for Pablo because that's what he collected in his US stamps collection, right? So he has 45 Singapore, 20 US. Now that's what you need to do. For all the rest of the people, you're going to go ahead, you're going to read each statement about each person, and you just fill in this table. Okay? Now at the bottom, they have given you 2 other questions. How many stamps did the 5 boys collect all together? What do we generally do when it says all together in math? What do we generally do? Do we add or do we subtract? If you said add, you're absolutely right, because what we need to do, look here. So at the bottom, in this row, they've said total. So what's going to happen when you fill this whole thing out? you will have a total of Singapore for all the boys, and you will have a total number of US stamps for all the boys. So for this question, how many stamps did the 5 boys collect all together? You are talking about both the Singapore collection for all the boys and the US collection. So what are you going to do with the total numbers here for the Singapore and US? You're going to add it together, okay? So you're going to add both Singapore and US, and that will be your answer for this question. Okay, now let's look at question B. How many more Singapore stamps than US stamps did they collect? Now, if they're asking how many more, they're asking us to find out the difference. Now in math, as you would know, whenever we say difference, that means what kind of operation are we doing? Are we adding or are we subtracting? We are going to subtract, that's right. So for the question A, we added. For question B, they're asking us to find the difference between Singapore stamps and US stamps. Does that make sense? And you will get that information for both of these questions right in these 2 columns. So in this row, the total row, that will give you information about these 2 questions. Okay, let's flip to page 102 and let's see what they're asking us on that page. So on this page, they have given us information. So this is page 102 of exercise 40. This is your workbook, grades 4. So on this page, they're asking us, so I'm going to read the question. So please follow along with me as I read the question. So here we go. The following table shows the number of apple pies and chicken pot pies sold by Marcus in a week. Each apple pie was sold for $2 and each chicken pot pie was sold for $3. Complete the table by filling in the total number of apple pies and chicken pot pies sold. Okay, so here we go. In our previous exercise, they had given us, they had left this table, the table was left blank. We had to go ahead and fill it. On this page, they have filled out the table for us. And what do we need to do? We need to do a couple of things. We need to find the total. So again, what do we mean by total? In math, when we are saying find the total, or what does it mean altogether? We are summing up, as in we are adding up our numbers. You're writing the total here, so you'll write the number of pies, apple pies sold. So apple pies total here, and chicken pot pies over here. So you're gonna find out the total by adding all of these numbers. And at the bottom, again, they've given us some word problems. How many pies did Marcus sell all together? Again, whenever it says all together, it means add up everything and find out. Okay, so all together. So that means we are adding both of these numbers. That's what we're going to do right here. Then they're saying, on which day did he sell the greatest number of pies? So you're going to look at, so they've given us this information. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. On which day did he sell the greatest number of pies? That means you are going to look at both types of pies, the apple ones and the chicken ones. You're going to tell me, or you're going to write over here, the day, not the number. They just want to know on which day. Okay, so pay attention. They're not asking us to total it. They're not asking us to add or subtract. They're just asking us, tell me, is it Monday? Is it Tuesday? Is it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday? So you're writing down the day here. Okay, then question C is, on which day did he collect the greatest amount of money from the sale of the 2 types of pies? Now you have to write in the numbers as in dollar, right? So they've given you the information. Each apple pie was sold at $5. How will you find this information? On which day did he collect the greatest amount of money? Excuse the noise, please, grades 4. Okay, so that's what you need to find out. And our last question is, how much money did he collect from the sale of the apple pies for the whole week. So you need to find information about the whole week, okay? And this is your lesson for today, and I will see you next time in our lesson about angles.